Hello, Enid. I'm Derek Salas, the Director of Communications for the City of Enid, and with me today is the City Manager, Jerald Gilbert. Thank you.
Hello, Derek.
All right.
It's good to be here with you.
Yeah. As many of the people may know, that the mayor did do released a three-phase plan today, and
Yes.
we are here to answer some of those questions that people may have concerning that.
Great.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. So some of the comments that we've seen on the former the declaration earlier, or the plan earlier, was many of them didn't quite understand what is and what is not closed in phase one. So some of the questions were, can we still gather together in a church? That was one of the questions.
The answer is yes, starting May the 1st with the plan that the mayor has released today. There's some certain requirements that are listed in the plan that's now on the website on the coronavirus page. For the city, there's some things like maintain social distancing between groups, between family units. It's suggested to separate chairs and/or pews, and but in the facility, in church, worship is now part of the plan, allowed as of May the 1st.
Okay. And the limitations on the seating is what for that? Is it 10 or less, or 50?
Family units are supposed to maintain 6 feet between the family units.
Okay.
And then it suggested that the chairs be separated, or the groups of chairs for family units be separated by 6 feet, or remove the pew or move it around. I know some of the churches that we have been in touch with already have a plan one way or the other, but the city's plan essentially mirrors the governor's plan. We have some of those requirements listed in the plan, but we also reference the Department of Commerce website, which has some specific, a longer list of requirements for churches and for other businesses as well.
Okay. Someone had a question. They said, according to his message, that this commission would take a look at the plan Thursday and during a special meeting, and then and they will consider approval of the plan. So their question was, is there a chance that this plan could be voted down?
I think that's a great question. I think the answer to that is the plan to open businesses May the 1st has significant support with the commission. The mayor and the commission understand that we've got to get people back to work while we effectively do the very best we can to deal with the threat of COVID-19, which hasn't gone away. As everybody knows, the threat has, or the level of the infection as measured by the positives, still seems to be fairly low in our community, which allows us to go forward with what we're doing. But on Thursday, I know there will be some debate and effort to look at the time frames. In particular, for phase one, the governor's plan specifically is 14 days. The current plan the mayor has put out suggests that it should be 30 days. I know there's some disagreement about that, so there'll be some discussion. So the timeline of that could change. I do not see that opening businesses May the 1st will be impacted.
Okay. That was actually one of the questions, and the question kind of on that was really more so, why was it spaced out the phases spaced out 30 days apart?
Well, I think just to help people understand, the effort to get businesses reopened, I think there was a lot of a desire to do that, but there's also a lot of concern amongst all of the commissioners about doing things as cautiously and as carefully as we can, because as we know, all it takes is one person, and now we know that there are people that can spread the disease that are asymptomatic. In fact, the newspaper just reported on 2 people at the Commons that tested positive that aren't in our count yet, that will probably show up, I'm guessing, tomorrow, that according to the newspaper were asymptomatic, meaning they didn't know, they didn't feel sick, they didn't have a fever, they didn't have all those symptoms. So although that may just be 2, we're concerned about at what level does it get, do the indicators, the leading indicators ideally of the virus get to before we ratchet back down some of the requirements. We are very cognizant that we need to let people work and we need to let the businesses operate. But we also know the whole world's going to end up operating under different rules, the levels of sanitation. Social distancing is not going away in our plan in phase 1 or 2, or even 3. It's not going away. We're going to live with those things, washing our hands and all of those things, doing temperature checks. So that's what will be discussed on Thursday at the council meeting. Is more so the length of each phase, and more so than anything else.
Okay. I have a question out here. Someone's asking about the gyms and the studios. I imagine they're referring to dance studios or fitness studios, I imagine. They're asking what phase, and what phase is that?
Gyms, and we didn't specifically address either gyms or dance studios, but they would be allowed under phase 1, because we specifically listed those things that weren't allowed under phase 1.
Right.
And those things were organized sporting activities like soccer tournaments, baseball tournaments, softball tournaments. Those things that not only bring a lot of people together and people that spectate and sit normally in close proximity to each other, but they potentially bring people from out of town. So some thought was given to that too. As far as the gyms and the dance studios, they'll need to follow guidance about social distancing, sanitation of equipment, and dance studios, I guess the floor and things that they touch frequently. And be cognizant of CDC rules and Department of Health rules, but yes, they can operate under phase 1 that starts May the 1st.
Okay. There was a lot of confusion, I imagine, from the residents. They were asking about, so there's been a lot of questions about the hairstylists, salons, barber shops, whether or not they can open this Friday, or is it another phase? Can you explain that?
Yes, hair salons, barber shops, pet grooming places, what's referred to in the governor's plan as personal care service places. They can open May the 1st. There is no difference really between the mayor's plan and the governor's plan. It's exactly the same. The only difference was the governor did allow for it April 24th, and the city determined through the mayor to extend that to keep with the existing declaration we had through April 30th. But on May 1st, many of us may need to get a haircut or go get our hair done. Nail salons are also included in that, tattoo parlors. There are specific sanitation requirements that are listed too on the Department of Commerce website that those businesses should check out. And I know the mayor had mentioned that he had gotten some calls from some hair salon places that when he made the announcement that he was sticking with the original declaration to this Thursday, that they had, their trade association had specific requirements for specific cleaning items that they at that time weren't able to get. So you can also get a list of approved cleaning supplies on the EPA website, and I think that's listed in the plan as well,
Okay.
which is posted on our coronavirus page.
Yes. Okay. There's another question about, well, one of the residents asks, why didn't the city follow the Stitz plan verbatim? That means like the 2-week, 14-day period versus the 30-day.
There was significant conversation about that. I think the best answer I could give is, for the most part, the mayor's plan does mirror the governor's plan. Clearly the timeframes currently as stated do not. I know there is some disagreement on the city commission, and so the mayor determined that in consultation with really all of the commissioners, that the plan that we had, we thought still facilitated restarting and reopening the economy, but did it in, it gave opportunity to basically monitor how the virus may spread over the next month or so, or the coming weeks. It's well known, everybody knows, Mayor and Commission knows, we're going to have more positive COVID tests. So that wasn't really the criteria for how long to make the phase or how short to make the phase or whether to reopen now, because we know overall in the state of Oklahoma we're clearly very low at the moment. We just felt that it was more prudent to allow a little more time. However, that specifically is something that I know the Commission will want to talk about, discuss, and debate. Even with the current plan, there's always the possibility that a phase one phase could end, another phase could start sooner. But there's also the possibility that we could stop where we're at and roll back. Some of the factors we tried to capture in there to help guide us was information from our local health officials, namely the St. Mary's and Bass Hospital administrators and the Garfield County Health Department administrator. We've got information in there about a benchmark of 10% of the tests being done in a given time frame being positive, and or 5 consecutive days of increasing positive COVID tests. We do know that as testing becomes more prevalent, again, we're going to get more positive. So we'll continue to refine that criteria. That's something else that may be subject to change in the plan is the criteria that we use to help make those decisions. And in the event, any of those decisions will be made by the mayor and commissioners based on information that they get and the prudent actions they think we need to take to not only protect the public, but to allow the economy to continue and operate in this difficult environment. We know we're all going to have to adjust in the future. COVID's not going to go away next month or the month after. It's probably not going to effectively go away if and until there's a cure, or a vaccine.
Right. Okay. There are some questions concerning retail. Is retail in the first phase, or what phase is it in?
Yes, retail's in the first phase.
Okay. And there's another question about, I guess there's a little misunderstanding about the sporting events. One person has a question about whether or not practice can begin, but no tournaments, and other ones are questioning whether or not there can be tournaments, outdoor tournaments, or sports.
Yeah, we have specifically, or the plan specifically accounts for organized sporting activities in Phase 2. Currently, Phase 2 is expected to begin June the 1st. That timeline could change based on Commission action. So that, to me, means baseball tournaments, softball tournaments, golf tournaments, any kind of organized outdoor activity that brings people together and brings people from out of town. So currently, Phase 2 is when those events could begin. The question about can there be practices or not, the plan doesn't specifically address whether there can be practices. I think what the city has done the entire time throughout the COVID crisis, the parks have remained open. They've remained open for individual and small group activities, meaning 10 or less. So I don't know if that's helpful for the people that want to practice, but outdoor activities are encouraged, just not in large groups.
Okay. I guess there's some misunderstanding or comparison. They're asking about salons versus sporting events, but there is when it comes to salons, there is a appointment only, is it not?
Yes, I believe it's by appointment only. I think the guidance also recommends, well, it's by appointment only, so people can wait in their car. There's not intended to be a room full of people.
No waiting room, no. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, if somebody's inside, they should be distanced apart 6 feet. And typically, the hair salon, personal care business is a one-on-one type of business. And can people effectively social distance when they're doing that? Well, no, obviously they can't. But they can take the other prescribed precautionary methods: wear a mask, wear gloves, disinfect seats, commonly touched surfaces like arms, armrests, etc. But unlike a sporting event, there's only 1 or 2 or 3 people in an establishment. At a sporting event, the way it normally happens in Enid, there's dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people at the event. So was that the question? How are they different? Or?
Yes. There's one another comparison. Why is one allowed in the first phase and not the other one's not? When it comes to city offices or departments, question is, when will recycling and landfill, when will recycling begin again, and landfill, when will the hours go back to normal for Saturdays?
Recycling, we're going to open up on Saturdays, not recycling. The landfill, we're going to open up Saturdays on May the 9th,
okay,
which is Saturday after this coming Saturday. The Recycle Center we currently have run by a company called Evergreen that has supervisors and uses special needs people as their employees, and we're still checking with them to see what their protocols are and when they can open. So I don't have a good answer yet for the recycle center, but we're going to try to reopen it as soon as it's possible.
Okay.
I would anticipate that would be sometime in phase 1.
Okay. There's also some talks or comparisons about churches versus bars and the difference in why one is allowed. They're saying that churches have the space is more people can fit in there, for instance, versus a bar. So what is the difference in the social distancing concern of those two?
Well, a couple things come to mind. First of all, the governor's plan allows for churches. Churches are also, freedom of religion is you could think of as a constitutional right, a God-given right. Not to say necessarily that going to a bar is not something that folks can do, but the problem with going to bars that's perceived is the difficulty trying to maintain the social distancing. And typically, when drinking alcohol, typically judgment is usually inverse to the amount of alcohol that's consumed. And so typically when that happens, we're just concerned about that. So we just mirror the governor's plan. In the governor's plan, bars aren't allowed to be open. In phase 2, bars are allowed to be reopened with some restrictions. So we look forward to phase 2 for bars.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the city's plan, the people are asking about the bulk pickup, when that will begin. Bulk pickup and trash trash pickup.
Bulk pickup will begin in phase 1. So if people have those bulk pickups, they could start calling those in now. We anticipate we're going to have a high call volume. So please be patient with us. We haven't been doing bulk pickup for more than a month now, so we'll have a big backlog, but bulk pickup will be available in phase 1 as we begin to restore services that may have been discontinued, like that one.
Okay. Can you explain a little to the public about the internal city employees plan as far as everything they see in the public as far as the landfill, parks, why things were adjusted as far as the landfill and what have you, and why now how we'll be able to continue to give those services in a different manner than we were previously? Yeah.
One of the challenges we had, like the world did in trying to follow CDC guidance and other authoritarian guidance, was to try and basically spread out our employees and protect our employees as best we could. Almost every single position, if not every position in the city, is or can be considered an essential service. However, we felt like we needed to really focus as much as we could on allowing folks that could do remote work to do remote work. So that takes some people out of the workforce to the house. And then for a lot of our positions, particularly in public utilities and public works, it's not possible to fix potholes from the house or to fix a water line from the house. But we did stagger schedules, and we had people rotating on weekly basis or other scheduled bases. So therefore we had fewer people at the city at any given time in work areas, and our ability to address concerns as quickly as maybe we would like to or impacted. With the landfill and those rotating schedules, that impacted our ability to operate the extended hours, or the hours that we did have, which I believe were 7 to 5 at the time, and Saturdays, and I believe we've changed them to 8 to 4. I know we've changed them to 8 to 4 and no Saturdays for now. We're looking at phasing out the alternate schedules in phase 1, so that's going to give us the ability, for instance, at the landfill, to be open again on Saturdays. And I know that's very important to folks, trash, water, and sewer. And so we're committed to continuing. We have continued to provide those services for the most part. Even the landfill was still open, just not on Saturdays.
Okay, very good. Well, it looks like I get all of the questions, but it looks like just if people are just joining, city managers already answered some of these questions, and some of the questions about the gyms, and of course you said the gyms would open up in this Friday in phase 1, and that the salons would open up also in phase 1, which starts May 1st. The stores, clothing stores like TJ Maxx and what have you, would open up also May 1st, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we're just asking them all to maintain social distancing and.
Yes, and follow the recommendations of the CDC, the Department of Health, Department of Commerce. I know businesses like restaurants and retail associations and gyms, they all have trade associations too. All of those trade associations will be putting out best practices. We're asking and really requiring folks to follow those best practices. Because even though the city allows these businesses or facilitates these businesses and wants these businesses to reopen and do it safely, for the public to come back and spend money there, they're going to have to feel safe. And so I would recommend that every business owner, and I know that all of them that I know are doing everything they can to promote safety and follow guidelines. So I would continue to recommend they all do that.
Okay. Well, it looks like those are all the questions I see here. We appreciate you coming to update the citizens about what's going on. Appreciate you.
You bet, and if you have continued, obviously there'll be questions for a while, so please keep the questions coming. I know, Derek, you and your team answer a lot of those questions, and certainly we can answer them too. You can always call 234-0400, and the receptionist, if she's not able to answer your questions, she will transfer you to somebody who can. You might remind them again, we're having a special meeting on Thursday, and that's available for people to view. And they can view it just like they do a normal meeting. And we'll have public sign up too, so yes. I anticipate that. So that, in the meantime, anybody that wants to give their feedback to the mayor or any of the commissioners, please do so. Their information is also on the website, and they would love to hear from you as they prepare for the Thursday meeting.
Yep. So we thank you for joining us. Thank you for your information. Thank you, Enid, for joining us for this update. As stated aforetime, you can go to enid.org/coronavirus for all of the updates, for all of the declarations and proclamations, for the 3-phased plan document is also there. All of our COVID updates that we've been doing for the last month here online at 1:30, usually Monday through Friday. You can see those there. To sign up for this Thursday, the special meeting that he mentioned will be at 5 o'clock Thursday. And for public comments, if you want to sign for public comments, go to enid.org/public comments. And you can sign up there. Be sure to put what agenda item you want to speak on. And we need your phone number and address in case there's an error and you're not online. We'd like to call you to make sure you're able to log in and give us your comments. Also, to see the live meeting, you can always go to facebook.com/City of Enid, Oklahoma. You can go to youtube.com/City of Enid, or to join the actual Zoom meeting, you can go to enid.org/virtual meeting. So we look forward to you for other updates this week at 1:30, and look forward to seeing you at the special meeting at 5 o'clock on Thursday, April 30th. Thank you.